Welcome all you lovely goblins and ghouls of the internet. My name is Anya, your demonic cinephile, and here we are back with episode 6 of Interview with the Vampire, like angels put in hell by God. So this episode starts almost immediately after the last, with Claudia helping Louis back into the house. We see through a short little montage of her being his physical therapist, helping him, healing him, bringing him food when he cannot hunt for himself. During the interview portion, we get this nice little how Daniel is so shocked about Lestat's his ability to fly. Now it's kind of a little bit weird because in the first episode we see Louis doesn't actually say Lestat flew him, but it is shown in the flashback. And we have to assume everything... Oh, I'm playing with this toy. We have to assume everything in the flashbacks are what Louis is telling Daniel. So it's kind of weird that he didn't think Lestat could do this. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Lestat and him floating in episode 1 wasn't really written down, and they decided to do it at the last moment. I'm not sure. I do like he's like, so he can fly like Superman. No. Superman is a fictional character. I do like Garrett giving him the names from the book. The flight is called the Cloud Gift. And I like how they also explain that it is super rare that Lestat, a vampire who's not even 200 years old, has this ability. Yeah, you have this little fun back and forth with this doctor character who's giving Daniel his medicine for his disease, which I like. Dan's like taunting him like, "Hey doc, did you know there's a vampire apocalypse coming out? Hey doc, did you know that there are vampires who can fly around the world?" As we get back into the rehabilitation, we are told that Lestat left him alone for several months. He was in shame and regretted everything he did so deeply he had to leave the family. Which again, if that's what you're going for with Lestat's character, why did you make him drop Louis? I mean, Lestat was already starting to calm down at that point. I mean, it doesn't make it good what he did, but why take the fight that far if you're just going to say Lestat hates himself for doing it? About, how did they say, like 5 months into the Louis rehabilitation, Lestat tries to enter the family again. He makes calls, he sends gifts, which is one little fun moment where Lestat brings a gift to Louis, a grand book, and Claude's like, "Yeah, he doesn't want to talk to you." "Well, Missy, let him make that decision." And Lestat, Louis throws Lestat's coffin out the window, almost like an ex throwing your clothes or your possessions out the house, which nobody saw. Like, nobody saw that. This huge coffin just came out of the sky, and no one thinks that's weird. And as the years go by, we learn around 3 years' time, Lestat was gone from New Orleans. And the first time he tries to interact with them to get back into the family, he gives them a gift of a Rolls Royce, coffin head, as he put it. He apologizes, says that, "I'm sorry, Lou, I'm nothing without you." And it seems sincere. And again, almost a lot of users are probably sorry in the moment. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen again. Claudia can see through this. She throws the keys away, scrapes the car. We are told 3 more years have passed. During this time, more gifts have been sent, but have been ignored. What finally breaks Louis's wall is a record. A song composed by Lestat, written by Lestat. All the instruments played by Lestat for Lou. come to me. Star-crossed lovers melody. Sweet, sincere. All except in one thing. The person Lestat got to sing the song. His affair, Antoinette. You gotta get this in the wraparound where Louis has Rashid play the song. This time a re-recording with Lestat's voice. And we get back to the flashback. Louis breaks in to Antoinette's house, demanding, like, you really thought this was gonna get a rise out of me? You making a song for me, but having your lover sing it? And it did. It did. It got the perfect rise out of Louis, and Lestat is amazed. He's all wide-eyed, starstruck, and he's like, Louis, you swam the whole Mississippi just so you can speak to me? Just so you can see me? And they properly kick Antoinette out of her house, so Louis and Lestat could hate fuck each other. I mean, literally, they were beating. Well, Louis was doing the beating this time. Lestat held back. Then we get to probably my favorite segment of the episode, where Lestat is back in the house. New terms and conditions are being made for the family. Claudia is no longer his daughter. She says it firmly. I'm your sister. You're my maker. I can be your sister, your cousin, but I can no longer be your daughter. And you're only here. I am only letting you in the house because Louis needs you here. They ask questions about Lestat, that if he can fly, you have to tell us you can fly. They ask a question that I've heard a lot of people have had about the show. Did Lestat make Paul kill himself? And Lestat is repelled by the question. No, I would never. In this, I feel like he's being truthful here, because I never really, I kind of had the thought that Lestat may have done something, may have pushed him into it to a certain degree. But then again, I don't know. You changed Lestat so much in the show. This is something more Armand would do. Like Armand from the books. And we'll talk about Armand later. They ask Lestat who made him. And Lestat basically gives his whole quick little origin from the book. That when he was in Paris, he was kidnapped by a vampire named Magnus. Only slight difference is in the book, Magnus had him for about 2 nights. One night he fed on him, the other night he turned him. Here it said that Lestat was in Magnus's custody for about a whole week. And during this week, he kept Lestat in the cell with all the dead bodies. All the dead bodies of the young men who look like him. The same hair, the same eyes, the same physique. Magnus had a type, and just like in the novel, Lestat says that, and just like in the book, Lestat states that Magnus told him nothing about being a vampire. No tricks, no grand history. Just, here's some money, watch out for the sun. Then he threw himself in a large fire. The show is trying to keep in continuity that fire is deadly for vampires. Like it is in the books, fire is almost just as bad as sunlight. But in here, we see several times Lestat and Louis are not careful with fire. Like, Louis heals so quickly when he is in the fire with Claudia. The Bruce, or Killer, when he gets the book that Claudia tossed in the flame, we see the fire sticking on his hand, but he's not concerned by it. We don't see it quickly eating him, like fire is supposed to do to vampires in the novel. This new shred of honesty allows Lestat back into the family, and even gets them to He even gets Louis to start eating humans again, which is a nice little conversation where Lestat does bring up something that was in the books, that Louis's air of superiority about not eating humans is constantly making feel Lestat lesser. And Claudia regretfully agrees that he is, in some sort of way, putting them down. Louis agrees with it, and Lestat tries to use that as a quick bonding moment between him and Claudia, and she spats him off. Episode goes on, we learn that Lestat did not end the affair. Lestat is back in the family. He is trying to make it work, but Claudia is not giving him anything. Now we're told that he and Claudia do, you see them actually playing games of chess. He teaches her the piano, but she still assumes that he is lying about everything. We witness a chess match in the episode between Claudia and Lestat, and here we do get a mention of Nikki. Nikki was Lestat's first love, even before he became a vampire. And she mocks Lestat, saying that, "Did you kill Nicholas as you try to kill Louis? You wrote the song that's playing for Nikki. Did you love him? Do you love him more than Louis?" And Lestat just meant that Nikki died long after they parted, but Claudia still pushing him, edging him, taunting him, calling him master in her head to Louis. And this part is because for the most part they're staying true to Lestat's origin, so you know all of this is true. That Nikki did die long after him and Lestat left each other. That Nikki went insane. It was all Lestat's fault. So you don't really like Claudia in this moment, but you completely understand why she's acting this way. Even though Louis says she's ugly for acting like that, you still can't fully blame her because what Lestat did. And it's probably because of this, the Claudia not giving him the acceptance that he needs, he fakes killing Antoinette and continues the affair with her. And he tells her that he loves her, that he's going to make her dreams come true. But we all know that's a lie. She is a plaything, as he puts it. She's there for when he has troubles at home to make him forget about it. Louis points out of his bratty nature, that he was told to do something and he wouldn't do it. Louis even suspects that Lestat knew that they were there, that he and Claudia were there, and he wanted them to find out. But this I don't fully get. Like, yes, Lestat is a brat. He is the brat prince, the prince of brats. But does not seem fully within his nature. Because Antoinette is supposed to be based off Antoine, a character from the novel that Lestat starts seeing behind Louis's back. Well, not really. Louis kind of already knew about it. Lestat told him about it. As far as I remember, he did not make... No. He didn't... Antoine didn't know Lestat was a vampire until Lestat turned him. Antoine was someone Lestat wanted to bring into the family. Antoinette, though, isn't. So I'm not sure why they're continuing with this affair. Like, what is it about Antoinette that Lestat is attracted to? Because in the books, Antoine remind him of Nikki. This girl, as far as we can tell, isn't anything like Nikki, or however they're going to portray Nikki in season 3 or 4 whenever we get to Lestat's backstory. I mean, what is the point of Lestat of wanting them to find out? Unless he wants Louis to kill her for him? Like he wants it as a proof of love, of determination. Because Louis even says it himself that Lestat would kill Antoinette immediately if he thought Louis would accept him 100%. And just this whole thing with the affair is weird. It's weird too because it's the same character that he's known for 20 years. That Lestat has kept this affair going on for 15 or 17 years. And Antoinette isn't tired of it. Maybe she's in love. Maybe she's has some kind of Stockholm syndrome. Or maybe she's just waiting out for Lestat to turn her. Which I guess with that, but I don't know. Also, they do the same thing with her that they did with Grace and Tom. Their characters, they don't put any real makeup on her. She looks the exact same. I mean, if she's has an age of days in 15 years, she's probably already is a vampire. This gets Claudia to continue her research about other cities, other towns across the sea, and their legends of vampires. Her wanting to go and meet other vampires, different from Lestat, different from Killer. This kind of comes in a conclusion with the scene at a bench park, where Lestat goes for his nightly kill to see Antoinette, whispering to Louis that, "Love you." Claudia tries to convince Louis to go with her, but he won't go. He's stuck, tied to New Orleans, tied to Lestat. The thought of being anywhere outside of Lestat feels heartbreaking, feels nowhere, to the point that he decides to tease the sun, to let the sun take him, turn him to ash, but only stop because he didn't want to ruin the night of Claudia's grand escape. When Louis gets back home, sometime after Claudia left to get on the train to take her to New York, that would take her to get him to a boat that would take her to Europe. Lestat is already at home. He's like, "Listen to this. Germany is invading Poland. Such horror." So we got a good confirmation on the date. It's 1939. And Louis like, "You care about humans fighting?" "No, I don't care, but our little sister, our companion in the night, she went off to go there. It was a good thing it's a good thing that she changed her mind." And the camera pans to the left, and there's Claudia sitting in the corner with her luggage in hand. And we flash back to Claudia, who is hiding out in the carriageway. The ticket conductor comes in for a quick second. She hides away. He leaves. She giggles to her freedom, writing in her diary, probably happy thoughts and dreams of what to come. Then we hear this bang, this scream, and the door to the car, the door to that car is flung open, and there's Lestat wearing the conductor hat with the guy's head in his hand, saying, "Tickets, please." Like, it's a fun and scary scene. Like, with Lestat being his weird, over-exaggerated self. Is also going back to the abusive aspect of Lestat's character that they invented for the show. Because once again, these elements were in the book, not just in Interview, but also in The Vampire Lestat, if I can recall, but not to this degree. Like, Lestat wasn't this bad of a person. And he gets to Claudia, and just kind of like with Louis, he gaslights her, telling her that, "Oh, you want to leave, but you can't leave. I made you for Louis, and Louis needs you. I can't make Louis happy right now, so it has to be your job to keep him happy enough so he can stay with me, and we can still pretend to be this happy little family that we haven't been in over a decade." And I like this metaphor is where Lestat takes out one of the dogs that's in the cage. The dog licks him. He pets her, and as the scene's about to end, he coots her back into her cage and says, "Back in your cage, little princess." Clearly representing Claudia. Claudia is trapped in a cage. Kind of like in the last episode, she states that Lestat's love is a tiny box that he keeps us trapped in. Lestat has this idea of a happy little family with him and Louis, and Claudia can be a part of that family. But now that Louis is so broken inside and he kind of needs Claudia is now necessary for the family. The flashback ends with one last chess match between Lestat and Claudia. During this, she and Louis are talking between their thoughts, how she plans to kill Lestat. And I do like we got a little line from the book where Louis states, "You can't kill him, no disease can touch him. You threaten a life that can endure till the end of the world." But Claudia states that, "I can't fight him, I can't beat him. That to beat Lestat, you have to think like Lestat. You have to be 5 steps ahead of Lestat." Where it's just really coming from. Lestat is not this grand Machiavellian villain. He's a brute. He's a trickster. He's a brat. He's strong, incredibly strong. But he's not super smart. He's not super clever. That's never really been a part of Lestat's character. And the fact that they're making it kind of like that is weird. The only reason Claudia got so close to killing Lestat in the books was because she took advantage of his arrogance. That he didn't think she could harm him. Claudia, I'm not good with chess. I don't know that much about chess, but Claudia pulls off a move where she entraps Lestat's pieces, preventing him from winning the game, basically giving her one quick win, which is funny because you kind of see it throughout the match where Lestat is criticizing her literal every move, but she sits back and she watches. She takes her mental notes. She knows what he's gonna do, which kind of goes with her monologue about her plan, how to beat him. But once again, we get to this scene where she refuses to end her match, and Lestat goes on a rampage. He calls her all types of names, little brat, and he kicks the chair. He throws the pieces off the table. Well, like this is with Lestat's character. Like this is actually a good scene compared to others because we actually can see Lestat's anger building up. His and Claudia's relationship becoming so toxic throughout this episode due to their both extreme personalities. This is a much better showcase of Lestat's abusive nature. Like, it just coming out of nowhere. Because before it's just coming out of nowhere, but here is actually a build up too. During the present day portion of the episode, about when Louis was talking about Antoinette done coming back from her house, he states that this was when they ended the interview the first time they did it, back in the 70s. Which, okay, in the novel, the interview was full till the present day. I'm not sure why they're making that change. Hopefully it'll be explained later. But Louis states that he entered the interview because Daniel demanded the dark gift. But he asks him now, would you want it? I give it to you now. You lived a full life. You had 2 daughters. And while Daniel does not say no, he does state, yeah, 2 daughters which I can watch get divorced. I can watch them get old and watch them die. Basically saying that he doesn't want it. that is the price for immortality, watching people fade away into nothingness as you stay the same. He also during this part, actually no, I think it was in the beginning, they mention Mary's. Polynesian Mary, the bar where Louis and Daniel first met. Because in the episodes before, Daniel kept stating that he kept dreaming about Mary. Kept dreaming about the bar since the tapes came in the first episode. And Louis keeps asking him, are you still dreaming about Mary's? At the very end of the episode, we get a flashback. Not to Louis in his interview, but to the 70s. It's a dream Daniel is having. And I kind of like it because the bird's eye view shot of San Francisco is made very much like the opening sequence of the movie for 94. We see a young Daniel go into the bar. He orders a drink. There he meets Louis, which Louis does seem a bit different. He's much more happy, much more open. Doesn't feel as closed off as he does in the present day. Another little fun mention from the book. While they're talking, Daniel notices his accent. And Louis like, I have an accent. This is because in the novel, sometime during the beginning portions of the interview, the boy says, oh, that's the accent. I have an accent? Yes, it's French. Louis keeps pesking Daniel about who he is, what's in the bag. So Daniel gives in and says, oh, I'm a journalist. I like to interview people. I record them and write it down. He spies on Louis' credit card, which, yeah, he's a drug addict, alright. Probably thinking about stealing it. Louis just flies out, tells him, I'm a vampire. But Daniel asks him who he is. He tells Daniel that he has drugs back at his apartment, and he wants him to come back with him so they can conduct an interview. Daniel is kind of entranced with Louis. Like he's like, sure, I'll come by. Like I really want the drugs. I just really want to interview you. You just seem that fascinating, that amazing. Which could just be Daniel and how he was back then, but it can also be a nice little touch to the vampire allure that they have in the book. The people are just so attracted to them. They have an alien beauty. Then we get to the little twist, big reveal of the episode, where they're about to leave to go to Louis's apartment. He turns around and asks when are they going to join us. And it is Rashid. It's the same guy who seems to be human in the present day is there back in the 70s looking the exact same way. So, Rashid has been acting very weird throughout the series, acting a lot older, more mature than he was before, than he should really for his age. And I always suspected that, people kept saying, I always suspected that he was a body thief. Kind of like, not the same body thief from book 4, but someone who had the same ability. But people kept saying, oh, it's Armand. He's Armand. It's going to be Armand. Like, no, it's not Armand. Why would they just do that? Why would they have Armand throughout the entire show? And with this part, it looks like it's Armand. It looks like it is Armand. Yeah, he's super religious. Well, not really. Armand's character has a complicated relationship with religion. He always has his gloves on so we don't see the white vampire fingernails. He talks kind of like he's older, like he says electronic mail, says an email. But we do see him in the sun. Because, not on the past episodes, but this episode, when he is walking to the doctor, to Daniel, we see him in the sunlight. Or at least it looks like he's in the sunlight. So is he Armand? Is he or is this just a dream Daniel is having? I'm kind of a little disappointed. I was hoping a more book accurate Armand, because Antonio Banderas, well, awesome, he wasn't really Armand. He wasn't. And the Armand in Queen of the Damned movie, less said about that version, the better. But Armand, I was hoping a little more character faithful version from the book, but this can kind of work. He is young, not like a young man like his character was physically described in the novels, but a little bit older. So that's not that bad. He could still be Armand in the past, because Armand isn't really his birth name. He probably changed it from Armand to Rashid sometime later after meeting Lewis. And his backstory can be kind of hard to do, especially if they're keeping Marius the same. Hopefully, to keep Marius the same. Marius is a completely weird character that I had mixed feelings on, but I want Marius to stay the same for the most part. So yeah, just one more episode to go. I'm not sure how I feel. I've loved the show, but all the changes still got me all rattled up and confused inside. But for the episode as a whole, it's probably my least favorite episode. Like, I still love it. Like, none of the episodes of the show are bad. But if I had to rate them, this would probably be at the very bottom. More characters acting out of character. Lestat being this weird abusive person that they turned him into. Louis moping around, which is in character, but it wasn't attracting me. Best worst way to say it, I just can't think the good word to say it, like in previous episodes. Then you got Claudia being just super nasty and vindictive to Lestat, while she is completely 100% in the right for these feelings. But as a reader of the book, I know Lestat's backstory, and it hurts to see her picking at his wounds from Marius, not from Magnus to Nikki. I hope it's kind of explained that these parts with Claudia are all from her books, that maybe she twisted the narrative a bit to make Lestat seem worse than he was. Because you can still do that. You can still have Lestat being this awful person, but doing it because give him good reasons. But if they are being truthful that this is Lestat, please give him a good character arc. Like you right there. Like, you need to go through some Vegeta level character arc. You need to get cut, bruised, broken, and abandoned. Like, I want to see Lestat become a better character. I mean, he's a vampire. He's always going to be a killer in the show. But, he's a good vampire. He's not that bad. He stops beating his man. He stops being a cheat. You can give us that. You can give us that at least. So, that was my thoughts and feelings on Interview with the Vampire, episode 5. So, what did you think about the episode? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Put it down in the comments down below. And if you liked this video, please hit that like and subscribe button to see more I will do in the future. And one more to go. How will the show end? How would it end? Can we just agree this is better than the Queen of the Damned movie? See you all later.